what's up, guys? Today we are going to take part, Erin and I, she's actually filming. This is a joint effort that we're doing right now, because I'm not the only one that thought they were crazy. But we're going to do the hashtag UFO challenge. Now, what's happening right now with this challenge is people are actually coming out and speaking about UFO experiences, stuff they've had, that they've kept their mouth shut for the longest time because, thanks Brady, Breeze in a kiss my leg, because everybody would just think you're nuts if you said this. So Erin and I had an experience, and we've actually shared this with close friends and family members and stuff. And it goes a little bit like this. You know what I'm going to talk about, right, babe? Like,
yeah.
She has no idea what we're doing right now, so just film me, right? All right, so anytime, jump in there if there's something you want to interject that I leave out or whatever, right?
Okay.
So Erin and I were actually standing right here. We're out here on this, was it during the pandemic or no?
No.
No, it was before, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the year before or something like that? So maybe a couple years ago now. Let me just preempt this with, we live in Fairfax, Virginia, which is considered part of D.C. Like, this whole area is considered D.C. Now we have different Navy bases, military bases, the CIA is close by, the FBI buildings, all that stuff is close by us here, right? Now her and I are standing out here, I don't even know what we're doing, just like hanging out, talking or whatever, right? Because Brady likes to hang out here on the porch. And we're looking out over here, like above this house right here, up here. Now, regularly, you can see like, well, there's one up there now, but there's fighter jets that do maneuvers all over here. We see them all the time, which in DC, it's normal, right? You see them go up, you see them do the dives, like the straight down, you see the afterburners behind them and stuff. Not chemtrails, totally different thing. But you can actually see these fighter planes moving at high speeds, right? Just flying by. So we're watching them, and to me, it's really cool because I grew up in Rhode Island. We don't have stuff like that. So to me, it's like amazing still. Like, first time I saw the president's motorcade come down DC, like, it's all cool to me, right? So we're watching, we're just out here observing, right? And all of a sudden, next to the fighter jet, and it seemed to be toying with the fighter jet, this metallic, shimmering, disc-like, how would you, disc-like, right? I mean,
it was round.
It was round. It was like,
Yeah.
it was like kind of like two frisbees on top of each other, but it was one piece and it was metallic and it was reflecting the light.
Yeah.
Like, we could see the fighter plane, and this thing clearly was not the fighter plane, but something totally different. It looked a lot bigger, maybe like 3 times the size of the fighter plane, right? And this thing is moving around the fighter plane. Very weird, right? It's just daytime. It's broad daylight, right? And we're watching this thing, and as it comes up on the fighter plane, we're watching it, and I'm like, do you see that? And Aaron's like, yeah.
Because it would stop, and then it would start and
Midair,
go and
stop.
go completely stop, and then go sideways, and then go up and then down,
It was
and then
very
stop
fucking
again.
Weird. And as we're looking at this thing together, right? We're both standing right here, going like this. Like, you actually look. Can you see the fighter jet in that?
Looks like just
Does
a
it show up?
regular. Yeah.
Can you see it?
I
See how
mean,
fast
barely.
it's diving down? So
But-
we have these
but
maneuvers.
That's not even a. But anyway, the point
Anyway,
is, you
so
can
we-
see a plane.
Right, we see the jets and the planes and stuff. Anyways, so as this thing got closer to the fighter jet, it started to shimmer, like sparkle, kind of like
In the light?
like
In the
Twilight,
sunlight?
like those stuff with vampires on Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like the movie Predator, it started to cloak little by little, piece by piece. It was almost like it was like thousands of little squares or something, and one square at a time would disappear, and you'd see the sky through the fucking thing. And as it like shimmered and started this, it fucking disappeared.
And then it was gone.
It was gone.
It was like you were hallucinating,
It
and
was-
we were like, there are little pieces of it, but it's there. It's not.
It like
What just happened?
disintegrated there, but you could see where it was disintegrating, just like in the movie The Predator when he bends light. You could still see some kind of shape or something there, but it was like the sky. It was like you would be able to see through it, but there was like still something there, and then that thing kind of faded out and like disappeared. And I remember asking Aaron, I was like, "Did you just see that?" Because I thought I was fucking nuts.
No.
Like I did. Now, when I was younger, I saw something in the sky. It was at nighttime, and it was doing weird maneuvers and shit like that when I was in Rhode Island as a kid. And I just chalked it up to like weird whatever, you know, like my mind playing tricks on me, just a little kid, right? Imagination. But this thing was real. Now, I'm not saying it's a UFO. I'm not saying it was aliens. It very well, because we have these bases and stuff around here, that very well could be our technology, that we have something that's so far advanced. But they tested here up in the sky.
Then explain our Rehoboth Beach experience.
Rehoboth Beach. Which one was Rehoboth Beach?
We went to Rehoboth Beach just
Oh,
for
those
like a
things that were-
weekend
yeah, they
getaway.
were
We were
moving around.
looking up at the stars. Literally, it was late at night, you guys. There were no lights around.
That happened in Mexico too.
It did.
saw
And
it
we
in Mexico.
looked up into the sky over the ocean. There was no one there. And we were like, oh, there's the Big Dipper. There's the Little Dipper.
That's all we know. The big Orion,
Yeah.
Orion's belt. We know
And
Orion's
like,
belt.
and then there were multiple.
They were
Same thing.
They were moving
Lights.
in different directions and shit.
Impossible speeds,
Like,
impossible
yeah, but
stops.
I think that the
Not
scariest,
satellites.
but the strangest part is when it goes in one direction, it jerks in the other direction and just shoots in the other direction, but it doesn't go in a straight line. It doesn't do this. It goes up and kind of like curves down when it comes up. Like stuff that we don't have
And the
you
one
know, or stuff we don't know of technology.
And then the one, there was like one light, and then 3 little lights came out of it, and
They
we were
bridged
like,
out of it, and it like split up.
what?
But then what happened to those 3 lights? They started moving around, and they all fucking disappeared.
Yeah, and then I didn't see them anymore.
Like they were just, it was like it broke apart, and then I'm like, is it a meteor coming down? But meteors would just come straight down and break up. These fucking things would move around, but
and they weren't
go
satellites because they weren't predictable.
The satellite, I don't think satellites would be moving like that.
Not
You know
like
what I mean?
that.
Like they orbit, right? And even if they tried to move it with the different thrusters and stuff they have in the satellite, it'll move. But these things, like I said, like instead of just going like zigzagging in straight lines, it would make a line. It would be going. It would jerk in the other direction. Instead of going a straight line, it would kind of dip and go up. Like I don't think we have anything that we're aware of, that Aaron and I are aware of, that we're not fucking in the military or anything, or even know anything about aviation. But as far as we know, we don't have things that do that. Now, again, could these be our things? Absolutely, 100% could be our things. But
Can we make this a longer video?
why?
Do you remember when I told you about my experience when I was really little?
The one.
It's a very short story.
I remember one.
It's a matter of a paragraph-ish.
Because I don't want to put the other person's name out there, but there's another person that is related to you that had something follow them home that time.
Yes. So when I was very young, I was in the backseat of the car.
You were in the car with it, okay.
My mom, my dad, my brother, and I am the youngest, and we were driving down what is. Okay.
There we go.
Oh.
There.
We were driving down what was then an extremely rural road, and there was again
No streetlights.
No. The Battlefield National Park was there, so there's nothing there. Back then, there was really nothing there. And as we were approaching the battlefield, it was on our way home. We lived in the middle of nowhere. And we saw this orange light. And when I was really little, I got confused because I thought there was a big fire. Because it was so much orange, I thought everything was on fire. So, long story short, when we go by the battlefield, there's a clearing where theoretically you could like pull up and get out of your car and fly a kite. And instead, there was a giant hovering ship that was orange with lights around and lights underneath, and it was all orange. So of course, I'm little, I yell fire because I couldn't understand what else it could be except for fire. There are lots of UFOs.
Now the craziest thing is, you again lived around here. Now, could it have been something that the military?
Oh, sure.
100%.
Of course.
But
you know that's out there.
the Pentagon just came out and said, well, you know, now we have these off-world aircrafts. Now, dude, this was years ago we saw that thing.
Forever.
And, you know, it just seems weird that they were almost ready to break into Area 51 last year. You know what I mean? I think that people are ready. If this is real, and they really are, I think people are ready to hear it. I think that some skeptics are just going to never believe it. Even if the alien landed and shook their hand, I don't think they'd believe it.
I mean, I have a family member back in, so that would be early 1960s, was in an even more rural part of Virginia, and while she was driving, a ship flew over top of her car, and her car radio went out, the lights went out, and her
That's the
car
one I was
stalled.
talking about, yeah.
Her car stalled, she was terrified, and it just kind of stopped, she froze, and then it went away, and then her car restarted, and everything came back on, and she was really shaken. So it's like, you know, I mean...
Again, could it have been, the problem is we don't really know what the military has, and nobody's supposed to know. Fine, whatever.
They could just be test
But
flying them.
I mean, absolutely, because I know the Nazis actually created this flying disc.
Sure.
They barely got it off the ground. It didn't work very well, but that was how many years ago? 50 years
Right.
ago.
They've had a lot of time to
They've
figure
got a
that
lot.
out.
I mean, I'm filming this thing on a goddamn phone in my hand. You know what I mean? We went from having a rotary dial-up to all information in your hand in 1 second. You know what I mean? So could we have something like that? Sure. Could it be aliens? Well, the Pentagon now says yes, possibly. And this week, they came out and said they're getting ready to release more information. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like...
I don't know why it would surprise anybody. Especially, I mean, we went from Lewis and Clark to a fighter jet. How fast? Come on.
Yeah,
guys.
I know it's evolution.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
See, let me show over there, but if you guys can see that, where that streak is, right here, where we see these jets doing maneuvers and stuff like this, to see them dive, it's not a plane. And when they dive like that, it's not a regular plane.
Well, they monitor the East Coast. They fly up and down and
Right.
protect the East Coast.
Yeah, I remember you said when 9/11 happened.
9/11, it was crazy because there was no traffic. There were no planes. The only thing that we would hear every 15-ish minutes was the fighter jet that was going up and down the East Coast. It was just surreal because you could literally hear it coming, and by the time you heard it was gone.
Yeah.
It was just the fighter jets flying up and down the coast, and so I'm used to fighter jets. I'm used to Air Force One. I'm used to weird military.
The first time I saw Air Force One, I freaked out. First time I saw
Yeah,
Marine
no.
One, freaked out.
My whole life I've seen that.
I
It's
saw
fine.
Obama in the motorcade, I freaked out. I saw him drive because I'd never seen it, and all of a sudden the
No, I
road was
didn't.
clear.
I
I
took it for
stepped.
granted.
I had just stepped
know.
out of the Gold's Gym in Midtown DC, on South 17th Street. I had just stepped out. I mean, 1 foot out, and all of a sudden you hear beep 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 beep. They're beeping horns, and this whole SUVs come through, and then everybody just stops and they start saluting. They start putting their hands up like saluting. I'm like, what the fuck? And then he drives by, and I'm like, was that the fucking president? They're like, yeah, you know. And I'm like,
It happens so
it's
often
not
that
a
we
big
don't
deal
even
here.
blink.
Nope, not a big deal here.
So
What do you think, bud? You think that there's aliens or what? I think you might be an alien. Maybe. I think you might have come from alien. What do you think?
are you an
You
alien?
alien DNA? Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So, Brady, do you think the flying saucers exist?
What do you think?
Say, Mom, stop petting me.
I can't help it.
Good boy.